The U.S. government shutdown expands. From flight delays and staffing crises in air traffic control to nuclear security furloughs and an $8.5 billion rare earth trade deal with Australia that challenges China's dominance. Plus, a massive Amazon AWS outage sends new warnings about how fragile America's digital backbone has become. What does this mean for the American dream, the economy, and U.S. global power? Watch now and share your thoughts. Another week of shutdown, but this one feels different. This time, it isn't just the lights out in Washington. Its airports delayed. Its nuclear security stretched thin. Its global trade shifting, and even the internet itself showing cracks. Today, we'll break down how America's political gridlock is now colliding with travel, technology, and national security, and what it all means for the American dream. Let's dig in. 1. Airports and travel disruptions. The federal government shutdown, which began on October 1st, has entered its third week. And now, the impact is landing where people can feel it, at the airports. At the Federal Aviation Administration, staffing shortages are rising fast. Air traffic controllers are being asked to work without pay, some calling out sick, others reaching exhaustion. Major airports, Chicago O'Hare, Dallas, Newark, Las Vegas, Phoenix, have seen thousands of flight delays in a single day. When the towers thin out, flight acceptance rates drop, and the entire air network slows. What used to be a DC budget story has now hit your boarding pass. Why it matters? Travel is the bloodstream of commerce. When flights are late, business meetings stall, freight slows, and tourism takes a hit. Delays ripple through hotels, logistics, and workers whose paychecks depend on mobility. And remember, air traffic safety depends on full staffing. Thin crews and long hours don't just mean delays, they mean higher risk. 2. The Amazon AWS outage, a digital shockwave. Then, as if the shutdown wasn't enough, America's digital infrastructure took a hit. On October 20th, a massive Amazon Web Services outage brought down parts of the internet. Airlines, banks, and even social media apps like Snapchat and Facebook were disrupted. United and Delta reported temporary system failures. Crypto exchange Coinbase and even AI platforms like Perplexity were affected. Amazon says its systems are mostly back online, but experts estimate the financial impact could reach into the hundreds of billions. Why it matters? Nearly everything, from airport check-ins to federal agency data, runs on the cloud. So when AWS goes dark, the consequences cascade. Add that to a government shutdown, and you get a perfect storm. Fewer workers, fewer backups, and one digital choke point for an entire economy. It's the definition of everything in one basket, and it raises a chilling question. If America's infrastructure and government both stall at once, who's holding the line? 3. Nuclear security on edge next. A story that sounds like it came from a Cold War thriller. The National Nuclear Security Administration, or NNSA, is being forced to furlough up to 80% of its staff, the first time in its history. These aren't paper pushers. They're the engineers and inspectors who safeguard the nation's nuclear arsenal. Carryover funds are running out, and modernization projects are on hold. That means fewer eyes on sensitive materials and slower responses if something goes wrong. Why it matters? National security is one area that's not supposed to shut down. When it does, allies start worrying and adversaries start watching. It's a credibility hit, and that has a price tag. Higher insurance, higher borrowing costs, and shaken confidence in America's reliability. Just like the airports, the nuclear pause exposes something deeper: system fragility. When the systems we trust all depend on the same fragile funding pipeline, one failure multiplies another. 4. Trade and mineral strategy. The Australia pivot while Washington struggles to keep the lights on, a major global deal was signed. The U.S. and Australia sealed an $8.5 billion rare earths agreement, a direct move to reduce dependence on China, which dominates the global supply of these critical minerals.
Rare earth minerals. Rare earth minerals. Australia is one of the only places in the world that processes rare earth minerals. Yeah, could there be an agreement? China has 90% of the processing. Could there be an agreement over processing rare earth minerals with Australia.
Sure, that's what we're doing. It's part of the agreement.
Rare earth elements are the backbone of modern technology: smartphones, electric vehicles, satellites, and advanced defense systems. This partnership aims to build new mines and processing facilities in Australia, helping both nations secure the materials that power everything from AI chips to missiles. Why it matters? This is about more than trade. It's strategy and survival. If China tightens exports or imposes new controls, America could face shortages that freeze industries. By turning to Australia, Washington is trying to build a friend-shored supply chain. But there's a catch. Australia's capacity still lags China's by years. So while the deal looks bold, it's only the first step in a long race, and it could further divide the world into two competing trade blocs, China-centric and US-allied. The paradox? America is pushing global expansion while its domestic systems are partially shut down. A superpower juggling two fronts, one abroad, one breaking at home. 5. Market reactions and economic undercurrents. Despite the chaos, Wall Street isn't panicking, at least not yet. The S&P 500 remains near record highs. But bond yields are falling, signaling investors expect slower growth or more stimulus ahead. Under the surface, cracks are forming. Federal contracts paused, hiring frozen, infrastructure delayed. The kind of slow burn that doesn't make headlines until it does. When trust in institutions erodes, people hesitate to invest, hire, or spend. And that hesitation is the silent enemy of the American dream. 6. What it means for the American dream. Let's bring this home. If your job depends on travel, logistics, or cloud systems, this affects you. If you work in tech, defense, or manufacturing, your future depends on stable supply chains. If national security agencies can't stay staffed, America's global reputation takes a hit. This shutdown isn't just political theater. It's exposing how interconnected everything is, from flights to firewalls to foreign trade. When one pillar weakens, the others shake. And if enough of them fall, the foundation of the American dream, growth, opportunity, stability, starts to crack. 7. What comes next? Best case scenario, Congress passes a funding bill this week. Flights stabilize, agencies reopen, markets breathe. Medium case scenario, the shutdown drags on. Travel chaos grows. Security gaps widen. Supply chains stall. Markets wobble. Worst case scenario, the shutdown stretches for months. Critical systems fail, foreign trade fractures, and the global balance shifts. Keep an eye on airport data, nuclear agency updates, and China's next export move. And yes, watch the cloud providers. If another AWS-level outage hits while the government is offline, the consequences could be massive. Closing. So here's the question. Will America treat this week's shutdown, trade pivot, and digital crash as just another blip, or as a turning point in how the American dream is defended? What worries you most? The travel chaos, the security gaps, or the tech fragility that connects them all? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit subscribe, and join us tomorrow as we ask, can America cut rates, keep growth, and still prevent the fallout? Thanks for watching. And remember, the system may look stable, but sometimes what's unseen is what's most fragile. Share your thoughts and follow for more.